Hi, I'm Jeffari from 8skies Consulting. This is a continuation of accounting for education institutions like schools and colleges, and this is part 10 of the lesson. So we're continuing to see how you can issue invoices to the students. So our life is easy now because we have our fees structure properly set in the accounting system. So I think one most important part when it comes to schools is to set chart of accounts. So be sure that you can do the settings for the chart of accounts. I mean, not chart of accounts, I'm sorry, to do settings for the school fees structure, so which we have already done. We have already captured fees structure. We have already captured fees structure. So let's see, how do we issue invoice to the students? In part 8, we issued one invoice for a day scholar, for one student who is studying. A day scholar means coming and going back home. So when we go to customers, when we go to sales invoices, you can see this guy here, Joseph, Form 1, he's a day scholar. So this is an invoice. This is his invoice for the first term. So what you need to do is to view that invoice, because you don't need to start from scratch to create another invoice for borders, because most of the items are the same. Once you view this invoice, you simply click on clone. To clone means to make another copy of invoice. Once you clone, the date is the same. You tick this one here, and then you simply change the name. Now in Form 1, we have Gracie Brown, who is a boarding student. Now, for the boarders, what are they paying? Going back, because these are the figures for the day scholars. What about the boarders? Let's go and check the fee structure for the boarders for the first installment. So tuition fee for boarders is 800,000, not 600,000. So I go back to the system, and then I will choose the tuition fees for boarders. Tuition fees, yes, this one, first installment for boarders, you see it is 800,000. Again, what else? Other figures are the same, except that we have additional figures like we have medical and pocket money, which are not paid by day scholars. So I must add lines and put these figures as well. So I go back to the invoice and add medical and pocket money. So I add line number 1 and I add line number 2. So I choose medical fees and pocket money. 40 and 80,000. 40 and 8,000. So we are done. 1,650,000. The total, you can clearly see it, 1,650,000 on the total. So by doing that one, we have created an invoice for the boarding student, a newcomer. So I created. Done. Once you do this, when we click on summary, we have this amount of account receivable here. When you click on that figure, you can now see you have this amount to Grace Brown. Alright, let's go ahead and issue other invoices. In the second term, we have these figures here. So for the day scholars, we have 320 and it's at 40,000. So I go to the system, I click on sales invoice. Where is sales invoice? Yeah, this one here. I click on sales invoice, and then I say new sales invoice, The date, second. When should we issue the second invoice? According to this one, this is by April. So maybe we can issue it on 1st of April. Let's issue it on 1st of April. So I'm gonna say the second invoice, this is issued on 1st of April. So I pick 1st of April. And then due date, by the end of April, this should be paid by the end of April. I pick the name from 1 day. And then I pick item, which is tuition fees, second installment for boarders. For day scholars. So tuition fees for day is that amount. And then they also need to pay study tour. So I pick study tour. I'm done. So total 360. You can clearly see it, 360. So this is an invoice for day scholar. Yeah. So here we go. I go ahead and I create it. And then I just cloning this invoice so that I can create an invoice for boarding scholars. So I just take this one and then I pick another name in Form 1. So I pick Grace. Grace is in boarding, which means her tuition fees is different. So tuition fees for boarder for the second installment is 400,000. I'm done. I go ahead and I create it. So I have created invoices for Form 1. So when I go to the customers, when I click on customers, you can now see I have created 2 invoices for Grace and 2 invoices for Joe. What does it mean? The first invoice is for first installment, and the second invoice is for the second installment. So these number 2s here means we have created 2 invoices already, to this student and to this student. For the others, we have only 1 invoice, and these invoices, remember, they represent opening balances. Thank you very much for watching tutorial.